Welcome back, guys. It's here, it's time, it's Korean barbecue. You knew it was coming.
It's Korean barbecue time!
First, I would like to mention that not every Korean person does Korean barbecue at home. The reasons being you need a large table, the smoke, the grilling smell, the cleanup. It can be a lot. Most people go to the restaurant for any or all of the reasons above. Some people do it on a regular basis, and this would be best done in the backyard, eating outdoors al fresco on a warm evening with a cold one. Ugh, perfect. But sometimes you gotta have Korean barbecue. All the restaurants are closed because of our worldwide pandemic. It's winter, but we gotta do what makes us happy. Okay, let's get to it. Let's go get everything we need to have a Korean barbecue feast at home. There are, of course, many options and variations to it, totally up to you. The main components are sliced meats, vegetables to wrap those said meats, banchan or Korean side dishes to enhance flavors, and SSAMJANG or Korean barbecue dip. If you don't have one, a tabletop burner, and a grill. Although I have seen the smokeless electric grills on Amazon and people seem to really enjoy them. This is pretty old school using a camping stove. You gotta buy the gas canisters separately, but it comes in handy for a cool little tool I will show you later on in the video. Also, you can use it for camping. Let's look at what we've got. Pork shoulder, very thinly sliced pork belly, thick slices of pork belly, and bulgogi. 'Cause sale, and why not? Some banchan or Korean side dishes because there will be rice on the table, and so side dishes. We got some SSAMJANG, the barbecue dip, to show you because we usually don't buy SSAMJANG. You can just mix up gochujang and doenjang and make it yourself. We got one that says it's spicier and the perfect accompaniment to meat. Spoiler alert, it wasn't anything extraordinary. You'll find they're usually packaged in green containers. To wrap up all that deliciousness, some lettuce. This is Korean lettuce, and you'll see it's like a miniaturized regular lettuce. Some size, shall we say. Romaine has ribs that are too stiff to bend, but they'll do in a pinch as well. Hot peppers to eat raw with dip because Oppa and his need to eat spicy things with everything all the time. This is pickled whole radish that's been sliced super thin so it's bendy enough to add to the SSAM layering. Gatnip or perilla leaves, they add a bit of bitterness that cut the greasiness from so much meat consumption. Totally forgot to do some pache, which is seasoned green onions, which are really quite essential, but again, totally forgot. We'll make a separate video about it later. Check out the 달래 무침 video because it's the same, but with shredded green onions. We're also going to do a DOENJANG, which is fermented soybean stew. Restaurants usually do a freebie of this one. There are a lot of ways to make this, but we like to keep it simple. Just Korean zucchini and tofu. We find this type of zucchini to have thinner skin and better flavor, but the regular one will totally work as well. A hot pepper for some kick, doenjang, the fermented bean paste because that is what the soup is about, and gochugaru to also kick it up another notch because oppa. I mean, this isn't even spicy for him, but this is just his normal. If you don't do spicy, just keep it to plain doenjang without the hot pepper and gochugaru addition and it will be nice and mild. If you don't have 새우젓, the salted shrimp, just sub that in with salt. We'll just get that going on the stove so it'll be ready by the time we're ready for it, which is usually after the first frenzy of meat grilling and everyone's hunger is satiated somewhat. Water just needs to cover all the ingredients and eyeball about a tablespoon of doenjang per person. I think this bowl is about a 2-person serving, so we're just heaping it on there. We're adding about the same amount of gochugaru, but this is what'll make it spicy, so it's totally up to you. And this 새우젓 is just seasoning, so about a teaspoon and you can taste test it later. That's it for that. Start it on high, then simmer until the zucchinis are the consistency you like them, then turn off the heat. Let's get to the main event. Set up the grill. And you'll see later, but make sure you've got enough gas. The worst thing to happen would be running out of gas in the middle of a barbecue party. Obviously, if you have an electric smokeless one, this is not an issue. Hey, do you have one? Is it really smokeless? How do you like it? Would love to know. Leave a comment below. Here we go, we have all the meats on a plate ready to grill, all the banchan in little banchan bowls, because unless you're eating the whole thing, you don't want to have everybody's chopsticks in there and then put that back in the fridge. So just plate everything and refill it as you need it. SSAMJANG is usually per person, but we're family, so also want to do less dishes, so you know. Wash the greens and plate them. There are also bowls of rice coming in the stew later. See what I mean? Large table required. The bulgogi we're going to do in its own platter because the grill we have is angled to let the fat strip off, but you want bulgogi to stew in its own marinade because we're basically eating bulgogi for the marinade. If you don't have this, you can just use a pan. This is a non-stick grill, angled like I said to let the fats run off, so just put a paper cup or make a well in some aluminum foil to catch the drippings. Keep an eye on it because if you have some really fatty cuts, the cup might get full and need changing. Start the grill, wait until it gets hot. We usually grill on high and keep it on high, but you know, use your judgment to cook but not burn your food. You may need to adjust the heat as you go. Oh, and you need some tongs and scissors to handle the raw meats and also to cut the meats to size when they're ready to eat. Don't forget to salt your meat. I mean, we like to, but also keep in mind you have dips to add salty flavor to your wraps. Check on the stew. Give everything some love so they'll all get some flavor. Let's turn the heat down to low and get back to the barbecue. At a Korean barbecue, one person will be the grill master. This person is basically cooking food for everyone at the table. It actually sucks because your arms are getting spattered with hot oil, people blame you if it's not done well, you can't eat hot meat off the grill because you're cooking. In other words, someone has to take one for the team. Make sure to take care of your grill master by making a sam for them and making sure they have a chance to eat too. Once the meat is ready, there are no meat thermometers to use here. You will have to gauge for yourself. But because meats are usually thinly cut and cooked on a high heat, it shouldn't take too long at all. When it's just about done, you can start cutting it into bite-sized pieces. Push them off to the side to finish up and start with the next thing. We're gonna get into the shoulder cuts now. You don't stop. At a Korean barbecue, the grill keeps going until everyone's done. Alternatively, if you don't want SSAMJANG for whatever reason, you can make another kind of dip. Just add some salt and pepper to a dish and flood it with sesame oil. These are for the little children. Number 1. Make your wrap. This can be just a lettuce leaf or just a perilla leaf, but it can also be lettuce and perilla leaves and the thinly sliced radish because why not? You know how you like it best. A little mound of rice, meat with a dollop of SSAMJANG, but keep in mind you should be able to fit this in your mouth in one bite, technically. You can take a bite off it and make it 2 bites, but the neat way to eat it would be in one small bite. Obviously, at home, when with family, anything goes. This is a 3-year-old, guys. Well, she's almost 4. I'm so surprised how little children will get the hang of stuff just by looking. We don't eat this on a regular basis at all, but her sam looks pretty good, no? Like totally legit. The 2-year-old will wrap up some rice in kim, the dried seaweed sheets, sometimes, but I don't know if it's just personality or he doesn't like it. He didn't make any attempt to eat it together. He ate his meats and then some rice, nibbled on some greens, but he was fine that way, thank you very much. This is the very scary looking tool that attaches right to a gas canister. And you've got blowtorch power. You can use this to add char, which is, you know, the most wonderful taste ever. Just take it off the canister and store it separately when not in use. Also, be careful. The grill is always going, so if the cooked stuff is not getting eaten right away, you want to plate it somewhere else so it's not overcooked before continuing to cook more meats. Another job up to the grill master is to keep the grill clean so it doesn't develop too much brown bits because this will keep the surface non-stick and help keep excessive smoke down. Because there are fats on the pan, just do a quick wipe down with a paper towel. Be careful because it's hot and then keep grilling. This is my personal favorite, nice and thin, it cooks up in no time and gets nice and crispy. So good. If you notice at any point that things are not cooking as well, it may be time to replace the gas canister, which was the case for us here. And we always make sure to have plenty of extras because it's no fun having meat but not being able to cook it. The hot peppers are just eaten like veggies and dip. Dip some SSAMJANG and take a bite. This can be done with carrot sticks, cucumber sticks. I love cut up anise for this. Not so much celery though, the taste is so strong. But like chicken wings that come with veggies and dip, this adds a nice fresh flavor to take a break from the delicious but fatty taste of meats. Okay, this is a trend that was introduced by Don Spike. Correct me if I'm wrong, Korean entertainment fans. He used to be a music composer and performer, but nowadays seems to be more into the food business. Anyway, big meat eater. And he popularized an interesting way to eat SSAM. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, so here we go. Not the most dignified way of eating, but I'm not sure why you would do this other than consuming meats with greens as fast as possible. You definitely wouldn't eat rice with this wrap, only meat with dip. I guess only what you can hold in your chopsticks at one time. Then the leaf is there to be pushed into your mouth. You don't want to do this on a first date, right? More of a party trick, I think. I don't know, I don't get it. Anything really goes in SSAM. Choose the flavors that you like. Oh, we also forgot to grill some whole garlic cloves. Put them on the grill right in the beginning, and midway through you'll find they soften and caramelize, and they're so good in SSAM. But any kind of tender green, rice, meat or veg, add some dip, you're good to go. Make it big, make it small, add some soju or vodka, it makes for a festive atmosphere. It's meant to be messy, it's meant to be loud, it's for laughing and enjoying. Don't be uptight about it, you really can't do it wrong. Now let's move on to the bulgogi. Even though we're really full, let's just go for it. Bulgogi is thinly sliced beef in a sweet soy saucy sauce. It doesn't take long at all to cook and is a hit with beginner Korean foodies, people who don't like spicy flavors, and children. And let's bring in the stew now as well. This can be any stew or soup you like, kimchi-jjigae and doenjang just being the more common types. These stone pots will retain heat and keep this hotter for longer. Make sure to be careful when handling these. Everything is meant to be eaten at hot temperatures. You blow on it to get the scorch out, but then you eat the meat right off the grill, and you should feel the heat of the soup mildly burning down your throat. This is a family setting, so we're all sharing, but you would usually get the pot of soup and a ladle and some empty bowls so everyone can have their own. You can dunk your rice in or mix it up or just have the soup on its own. To each their own, and you'll find even within families, everyone has their preferences. Korean food is really adaptable to lots of ingredients, so use whatever is available to you. For example, you can have a vegetarian Korean barbecue by using meaty mushrooms. Portobellos are good if that's what you have, but the Asian mushrooms like king oyster are chewy like meat. All they need is salt and pepper and they're amazing. And your vegetarian friend can then join the party too. You can also do asparagus, sweet potato, lotus root, firm tofu, zucchini, squash as well. Just make sure to slice them accordingly so they don't take too long to cook. And that is a Korean barbecue at home, guys. The table will be a mess, cleanup will take a while, and the house will stink. But everyone will be so happy and full. Highway to a heavenly food coma. But because this is about reality and not just the pretty parts of life, let me give you some suggestions on the best tips to clean up. First of all, there's no way to prevent the meat grilling odors indoors. There's a reason Korean barbecue restaurants have individual dedicated vents right on top of the grills. The most obvious are to open a window or light some candles after you're all done. But I would also like to add that you can, number 1, remember to close all your bedroom doors to minimize smoke and odors from reaching your closets and bed sheets. Number 2, after you're done, open windows and turn on the vent for a while. Honestly, the only thing that works is ventilation and just airing it out of the house. Number 3, the best way I found is to brew some coffee for everyone after. And some other common ways to get rid of kitchen smells in general is to boil some diluted vinegar, like 1 to 3 parts with water, or boil some lemon slices, which smells nicer in my opinion. Korean barbecue, guys, it's always fun. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
This is how I drink my water.